If you're a single woman over 40 looking for Mr. Right and you want practical dating strategies that don't include wasting precious time chasing after unavailable guys, you're in the right place. In this episode, as an intuitive dating coach, I'm sharing the essential first date do's and don'ts so you can get closer to meeting Mr. Right. Let's get started. Welcome to episode 10. This is a new mini series on essential first date do's and don'ts. And I'm really excited to get started on the do's because we always want to start with what we can do and what we can focus on. And then the second part will be the don'ts. So, the reason this is really important, it might seem obvious, but I just want to go over this. Dating after 40 successfully involves getting intentional about what you want. I talk about this a lot in my podcast. You don't have time to waste. You don't have energy to waste. You don't have the tolerance to be putting up with ghosting and being mistreated or dismissed that you might have had in your 20s. I certainly had way more patience, or whatever word you want to use, a lot more tolerance that I had to learn to really button that up and say, I deserve better. So you're at a powerful stage in your life, and you need to remember that. That's what I'm here to remind you. You've got wisdom, you've got life experience, you've got awareness. Use this in your dating life. You're ready to have this dedicated, amazing, lasting love relationship with Mr. Right. And that requires that you take charge of your life and your energy and who you allow into your life. We can't control what guys do on the internet or who's going to show up or, what's going on in your city, but you can fine tune your radar for the high quality matches out there and invite them into your world. Or when they see you being awesome and being authentic, they'll immediately run over to see who is this fabulous woman. And that's what I'm here to help you figure out how to do. What exactly are you supposed to do so that this kicks into play? So, as an intuitive dating coach with over 15 years experience helping women worldwide to find love, to find themselves, to express their true authentic self. And so I've taken all of these wisdom points, if you want to put it that way, and condensed them into a do's and don'ts list that you can take into your dating world and use it for your first date specifically. I've also personally overcome a lot of these patterns of chasing after love to finally meet the love of my life in my 40s. And you can do this too. This is what I know, that you can do this. And what I always say is love is closer than you think. So here are the important steps to follow on this exciting dating journey to give you the glow up that you need to get intentional and weed out the wannabes. This is part 1, and we are focusing on the do's. You want to be doing these things. Number 1, prepare yourself emotionally, mentally, and physically before dating, before diving into the apps, before going to the singles events, before telling your friends and family that you are ready to find someone. And set your intentions and explore what you truly want. This is the self-reflective piece of this. This is the super important way that you're going to take charge of your life, your dating life, your love life, and the rest of your life, frankly, by preparing yourself, going deep into what you want, connecting to your heart, connecting to what you've always wanted, and putting it down on paper or doing a voice note on your phone. However you want to do this, it's important to get it out there, to voice it in some way, shape, or form. It's a very powerful exercise, and it is number 1 on the do list because before you're going to go on your first date, you need to know these things. You don't want to be going haphazard into the dating world because you know what it's like out there. It's a mess. People complain about it all the time. women I work with, and just in general, the narrative out there is that dating, especially online dating, especially after 40, is the Wild West, and it is a nightmare. And I agree with that 100%. I'm not here to say, oh, no, it's not that bad. I know it's terrible. There's the ghosters, there's the married men, there's the ones who just want to stay on an on-screen, online relationship for 20 years before they meet in person with you. And all of these time wasters are on there. That's why you need to take charge and prepare yourself. So that's the number one do that I want you to do before your first date, before you're going to even go and meet someone. Okay? Second thing I want you to do for your first date preparation is to use online dating as a springboard to meet guys who have potential. I want you to do this as soon as humanly possible. And so anyone who is wasting your time and saying, well, I really need to get to know you more. I need your 50 million, personality points, and I need to know about this and that and the other thing, and send me more pictures. And this is an absolute red flag. You want to use online dating to actually meet guys, and you can do it in a way that it sustains your energy, that you don't get exhausted. But the number one energy wasting, time wasting thing is getting sucked into this, black hole of, let's talk some more. I haven't decided yet. I need to know these 50 points about you first. No, you are here to meet guys. You are here to meet potential love of your life, Mr. Rights. You don't have time to give them a TED Talk on who you are. So the second do is, please do use online dating or any form of dating, really, any form of social events, is to actually go on a date. That's your number one goal, is to go on a date with a guy who has potential. So think of it that way. Get really, really focused on that. Third one, do remain open, willing, and playful about the process, because this is not a one and done. It's not I tried it for a week and this isn't working. It's not, there's no one out there. This is impossible. I'll never meet anyone. All of those things are going to take you further away from what you want. So I do want you to remain open. And I have plenty of exercises. I have so many journaling prompts and different things that you can do if you go back and listen to my other podcast episodes around, practical strategies of dating, the best dating advice. All of those things are in my previous episodes. So please check those out for very specific strategies on this. I just want to make a point here of a general way to be and things to do is to remain open. And that just means open-minded. You're open to this dating journey. This is what you're on. You're all in other words. And you're willing to meet someone. You're willing to be yourself. You're willing to show up as you are and say, this is what I want, and be unapologetic about it. And to also be playful. Playful just means being, sort of carefree, more relaxed, more flexible about things. And you're willing to have fun and bring out your childlike wonder and giddiness if that's your personality. And if it's not your personality, then find some way that you interpret as playful and bring that energy into your dating, into your first date. The next thing I want you to think about and to do is to set your parameters for yourself first. So these are your deal breakers and your must-haves. Please have an idea of what these are. Because again, you don't want to be wading into some experience where you're like, oh my God, this guy is like living in another city. He smokes, like he eats McDonald's, or whatever your deal breakers are. And if he's representing all of them, it's because you didn't look at those parameters beforehand. And of course, you're not going to know everything about a person. You don't want to be like that guy I was describing before, where they want a 50-page document on who you are before they're even willing to meet you. But there is a happy medium between saying, I need to know everything about you before I waste my time, in quotes, on a date. It's just coffee, by the way. And the other side of that, and just kind of being like, oh, well, I'm just going to go into this totally open. I want you to find that in between. I want you to know exactly what are your deal breakers. So if you're having a short conversation online in a dating app, and he says, well, I have this, I have 3 kids who are under the age of 10, or I travel 8 months out of the year. And then you're like, oh, no, that's not what I want. You can cut it off right then and there and not go on a date at all. So I do want you to prepare in that sense of having the most important deal breakers, say, no, I'm not doing that. I don't want to. I'm not interested in that. And your must-haves, just knowing that in your mind or having a list of it. And as I said, I have all these practical strategies and dating prompts, journaling prompts to get you prepared in my other podcast episodes that you can go and check out now if you want to dive into those, or check it out after this episode, I should say. All right, I do want you to check in with yourself before, during, and after the date. I want you to be focused on you. So a lot of the pitfalls that we fall into are focusing our energy. Everything is towards the guy. Like, how is he feeling? What's he doing? What did that mean? What was that expression for? Why did he say that? If you're doing that, you're going to be completely disconnected from your own wisdom, from your own body, your intuition that is going to be telling you everything that you need to be focused on for yourself to find what you're looking for, the love you truly desire. So you need to check in with yourself. And so before the first date, that would mean as you're getting ready, take a moment, take 1 minute, take 30 seconds to close your eyes, put your hand on your heart, and just be like, how am I feeling right now? And be honest with yourself. Just say, okay, I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. But maybe there's another signal coming from your body where it's saying, I don't want to do this. And then another part of you is like, it's okay, we're just scared. And you need to know how you're feeling and how you're doing before the date. And then when you meet the guy, when you're sitting there and you're having coffee or whatever you're doing across the table, and having a conversation, I want you to, again, take a moment, whether you do it directly at the table, no one has to know, a little internal check-in, a little question, how am I doing? How do I feel right now on this date? And without any judgment, without any expectations, allow the answer to come to you. Allow your body and your heart and your mind to speak to you. And it could be a very subtle thing. It could be like, I'm so, I don't really know, I'm okay, or I'm not having fun and I feel like I wish I could go home. You need to know these things because then you can take steps towards, doing what is the next best thing for you, whether it's saying, I think I really need to leave at this point. And it's been so nice to meet you. I feel like I'm just going to keep looking, or whatever you want to say. Or if you want to be more polite, that's fine. If you want to go the full hour or whatever it is, having those parameters. I told myself I would give this person an hour, and I'm going to do that, even though I know that I'm going to walk away from this and not really pursue anything else with this person. I do have an hour of my life that I can see this through, and just knowing, okay, that's what I'm going to do. You're only going to know that if you check in with yourself during this first date. And then just as important, And when you get home, again, checking in with yourself. How was that date? How am I feeling? And allow it to bubble up. Allow it to speak to you, because that voice is your wisdom that is waiting to be heard, waiting to help you, to tell you, what is the best thing for you based on what your heart's desire is. So do check in with yourself before, during, and after the date. Another thing that I'm going to say, which sounds a little more open-ended, is to follow your heart and intuition. What does this mean? It means checking in, but specifically asking your heart, closing your eyes and saying, what is my heart telling me right now? What is my inner knowing saying to me right now? And follow that. So this is a close second to what I was just saying, because you're going to actually ask and then follow that advice, follow that intuition, follow that wisdom, follow the guidance. This is one thing that many of us don't do, and I did this for so many years and kicked myself. This is where the time wasting comes in. This is where, if only I had, not spent all that time with this person that I didn't even really like all that much, that I wasn't really compatible with. There was just some kind of attraction there, and I didn't listen to my heart. So I want you to follow that. This is the next step in the do after a first date, or before a first date, or during a first date, is follow any intuitive guidance that you have. Maybe you'll get an intuition to tell this person a certain story, or you're like, I really feel like I want to open up about a certain thing, and this feels really good to do that. And so that's kind of the way to check in around, like, am I just babbling or saying something that I feel like I want to overshare, versus your heart saying, it would feel so good to share this with this person. So can you feel the difference there? I want you to just spend time on your first date following your heart, following your intuition. And it could be either end of that spectrum. It could be like, I'm following my heart, and my heart is telling me to just cancel. My heart is saying, no, I don't really want to do this. I've changed my mind, which is your prerogative. Or it could be like, oh, I'm so excited to meet this person. And you go on that date and you're like, I would just really love to see him again. And so I want you to follow that. That is the very important do. Do follow your heart and intuition all through the dating journey. Another really important thing to do is decide on your boundaries ahead of time. This is more specific than looking at your deal breakers and your must-haves. These are sort of practical, more grounded things that you're telling yourself ahead of time that you do want to do or don't want to do. So the boundaries could be kissing. I had a boundary that had come up that I felt was really important at that stage in my life when I was dating in my 40s, and right before I met my husband. Before I went on that first date, I was like, I don't want to kiss him. Even if I really like him, I'm going to have that boundary. And it feels really important to do that. So no matter what, I'm going to just say, let's just hug. If it goes really well, I'm just going to give him a hug. And I had that in my mind before I went on the date. Another example of a boundary could be where to meet. Like, you're not willing, or you have a boundary where you're not willing to travel like an hour and a half away. You want to be closer to home without telling him, of course, where you live. You have to have that safety boundary. But just saying, no, this is the area that I really want to stick to, and I don't want to go downtown, or I don't want to go wherever it is. And that's another boundary that you have in your mind when you're preparing for the date, when you're planning the date with this person. Another really nice practical thing is to tell yourself, like I was mentioning earlier, that you're only going to stay for an hour. So you're going to go all in during that hour. You're going to be totally present. You're going to be open, you're going to be willing, playful, all of those things for 1 hour. And then when that hour is up, you're going to say, even if you had an amazing time, this is your energy boundary. This is your time boundary. So before you go on this first date, decide how long you'll stay. And the reason I also did this was because I tended to let my energy drain and to leak everywhere because I would spend hours with somebody I didn't like, or I would go to a really far distance to be on a date because I was like, well, this is do or die. I better go on this date. He seems to be perfect. And I didn't respect my own boundaries of my time and energy and my focus. So those are some really great things that you can do is around boundaries. And these are some other emotional and self-care different things that are aspects of really beautiful dating. So do be kind to yourself at all times. Please don't beat yourself up and start saying, oh, I was so stupid to say that. And I wish I had never gone on that date. And, that was so dumb of me to do this. When you're beating up on yourself, it makes the dating process so painful. And of course, you're going to be like, I hate dating because it's so ugh, it just feels icky in every way. So please do be kind to yourself. Dating requires patience, compassion, and effort, worthwhile effort. So I want you to be kind through the whole thing, on your date, before your date, after your date. You're putting yourself out there. You need to say, I'm doing amazing. I am being open. I'm being willing. I'm being playful on this excursion, and I really want to find someone, and I'm excited about it. So why not give yourself that grace and say, I really am doing awesome. So be kind to yourself. And do have fun, please. Even if it's a guy who's not a match and you meet up with him and you've got your 1 hour boundary and you're on a coffee date and you've checked in with yourself and you tuned into your heart and you're like, this doesn't really feel like a connection or someone that I would continue dating. Please do still find a way to enjoy and have fun with this process. And I'm not saying it's easy because I know that it can be very stressful, but if you focus on just finding the fun, like maybe you went to a different restaurant or you found a new really cool area, or you had a great joke with this person, you had a moment with them, and you're like, this was fun. Like, I really am happy that I did this. If you can find that space, you are just so ahead of the game. You're going to be doing amazing if you can just have fun. So do have fun. And another thing that I don't see women doing very much is celebrating your efforts. So do celebrate your efforts, celebrate yourself. Say, look at me, I'm going on these dates and I'm having fun and I'm putting myself out there and I'm taking the action towards what I truly desire. And take yourself out on a date, take yourself out on a shopping spree or whatever it might be to celebrate your amazing dating efforts. So be sure to do that. And we've got 2 more here. Do view this as a process, a journey, whatever word you want to use, that requires your worthwhile effort. Isn't it worthwhile to put time and energy into finding the love of your life or your Mr. Right, or however you want to phrase it? Isn't that a worthwhile effort? So if you look at it as a journey and not like, oh my God, I've spent weeks or months doing this. This is a journey and it doesn't have to take forever. I met my husband within 10 days of going back on the apps when I was truly intentional and I had done a lot of healing work and I was really ready for it. It took 10 days and he was the first guy that I met. And I have a client who met her love of her life within 11 days. I don't know what the significance of that is, but it doesn't have to take forever. I just want you to see it as a journey, not a one and done, not like, oh, this isn't working, or getting into the mental and emotional spiral. And I have lots of resources for you to help you stay in a beautiful, authentic mindset during the journey. All I ask is that you do and view it as a journey. And the last one, I want you to be aware of what is draining your energy and wasting your time. So do create a list of the things that you find especially draining or especially stressful, or you feel really frustrated, like that really wasted my time. So do you have a tendency to give too much of give the person the benefit of the doubt too much? Do you have a tendency to, I'm going to just try this even though I don't really like the guy that much and we don't really have much in common, but I'm just going to stay really open. So in other words, you're staying too open. You don't have your deal breakers. You don't have your must-haves. You don't have your boundaries, because that can be a huge drain and a leak on your time and energy and just leads you to being really frustrated. So I want you to really be aware what is draining your energy and wasting your time in the dating process. And that concludes my list of do's. I hope you found it very helpful. And I want you to stay tuned for part 2 next week of the don'ts. We need to be aware of the don'ts and the do's and balance them out. And remember, love is closer than you think.